Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to walk through demonstrating how to create a build of your application from Unity. So assuming you have a scene set up and it plays correctly and there's no errors showing up in the console, so something like this, you should be able to create a build of your scene, and you do this by going up to File, Build Settings. And so what a build is a standalone application of your world, of your Unity game. And so you get the build settings dialog up here, and you have the option to build immediately or build and run. And so what you need to do first is double check that you're on the platform of your choice. So PC, Mac, Linux. I'm on a Mac, and this is correct. If you were going to build for a different platform, you would have to pick that platform and install additional packages. But since we're just going to build on this, we're good to go. And then you need to pick your scene that you want to build. So you can say add open scenes because I have one scene in this project, and I click that and it says scene, sample scene. So that means this scene will be included in my build. And then the last thing you need to check is under your player settings, you have this menu or this dialog where you can customize different parameters of the build. So the name of your company, the name of the project, version, and you can include an icon. You can include different icons for different sizes of devices. So if you're making a mobile game or a game that worked on PC, Mac, and mobile, you could set icons. Here's where you would set the resolution and presentation of your game. By default, it's on full screen window. If you wanted it to just be a standalone window that came up, you could change that here. And you shouldn't really need to change anything under here unless you have the assets for it. But splash image would be, your own logo showing up before the game starts. Other settings has to do with color, and if you were releasing something on an app store, there's additional sort of developer settings in there. And we're not doing anything in this build right now with XR settings. So we're not going to configure anything else in here. So we close that, and just by closing it, it does save whatever you change in there. And so you shouldn't have to toggle anything on here for now. And then you just click build, and it's going to ask where you want to save it. So I have a folder called My World for my world, and I'm going to, inside here, not in the assets folder, inside just next to the assets and all these other folders, I'm going to create a folder called builds and say create. And then under here, I'll give my project a name. So I'll just say my world, just call it the same name as my project up here, save. And when I do that, it's going to take a few minutes, maybe longer, depending on how large my game is or my world is, how many assets I have included, the types of things that it's saving and putting together. All of that will increase or influence the amount of time it takes to build this. So once, let's see, so we just have to wait, and once it's done, we'll look at the build. And the process is pretty much the same on a Windows machine as it is on a Mac. Instead of picking Mac OS X right here, you're picking the Windows build platform. So when it's complete, it will pop up a window in your Finder and show your build. So if I kind of look at the folder structure under my world, I have builds, and I have an application that showed up. And so this is basically an executable of your project. So if I double click it, it's going to open up. Let's see here. It opened up on a different different screen on my machine. So currently I have 2 monitors and it's showing up on the bottom screen. So let's see if we can change where it's showing up. Let's see here, build settings, player settings, full screen window. I'm going to actually change it to just a window, just say windowed. And I'm going to make it, the size is okay. I'll set it to, well, I'll set it to 1920 by 1080. So what I did was I changed from full screen to windowed. And so could also go to maximized window, and it'll give you basically a build that has a window that you can expand and increase and decrease its size. So I'm going to click build and actually build it again and call it my world. I'm going to call it my world windowed, just to save another version of it. So again, it has to build, so it's going to take a few minutes. And let's see here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that was pretty fast since it compiled everything before. So if I open this one now, it's the same size, but it's going to open, let's see here, on my first monitor again, but I can actually exit the full screen if I can get to it here, and then I can move this up. So what we have here is the windowed version of my project, and if I toggle full screen on this window, then it will go full screen and show up. So this is a great way to share a project with somebody as an application. So you're able to just, I'm going to quit that. You're able to send a project to somebody in this format, and then they never have to actually go into Unity and try to run it and open up the project from its source. They just have an application. So the way to distribute an application like this would be to put it into a zip file, just in case there's any issues with sending an app. So you would right click on the file and say compress. And it'll compress it and put it into a zip file. I'm going to remove the .app from the file name. So this is what you would send to somebody to share a working executable of your world. So again, the process is basically the same on a Windows machine, and it's the same if you have additional game objects in your hierarchy for doing things like VR, so including Steam VR, the Steam VR player over here instead of the first-person controller. The build process is identical, but the result would be a VR-capable build that you've created. So hopefully this is helpful for creating builds, and let me know if there are questions on this process. Thanks for watching.